this video, I'm going to show you how to make torches with mullein flower tops. The first ingredient in this recipe is the dried flowering tops of second-year mullein. I'll tell you a bit about sourcing these a little bit later in the video. The second ingredient you'll need is beeswax. You could also melt down an old candle, that would work, especially since you're not going to use this on your body. This is for craft purposes, so the quality of the wax doesn't have to be perfect. I'm melting down about 2 ounces of beeswax, and it takes a few minutes. I like to do this in a double boiler because whatever you cook beeswax in, it becomes a beeswax tool forever. Okay, so now we have our mullein stalks, and if you'd like to, it's really nice to add some dried flowers to the end product. This not only makes it look pretty, but it makes it smell nice when you burn it, and you can infuse different intentions into your torch. Once your beeswax is fully melted, it's time to pour. I'm making sure to get every little crack and crevice and cover the entire top of the dried mullein. Another way you could do this is to melt the beeswax in a more shallow container and then dip the tops into it. But I feel like this is a little bit more of an economical method to pour directly onto the tops. So I'll tell you where I got my tops from. I haven't had access to a big stand of mullein quite yet, so I actually ordered these from Etsy. If you have access to mullein and you want to harvest the tops, I recommend doing it either right after they've flowered or you can even wait until the end of the season when they're drying. But if you do harvest them now, cut them off, make sure that you have a little bit of a handle at the bottom, and then just leave them out to dry. You could oven dry them, that would be quicker, but it's just as easy to leave them out for a couple of weeks. Make sure they're completely dry because you're going to be burning this and you don't want to create a lot of smoke. Now there's a good amount of beeswax on the tops. You can add your dried flowers or herbs if you'd like. I added rose and lavender just because I love them so much. I love the scent. I love that they represent love and relaxation and inner sight. There are a lot of other herbs you could use instead, and I'll show you a couple more that I decided to use in the end. You may have noticed some of the drippings ended up on the silicone mat that we're using to catch the beeswax. So I don't like to waste anything. I actually collect these bits and remelt them to use again for another layer and also for making a little candle. Going in for round 2 of coating the tops with more wax just to make sure they're 100% coated and also to make it easier to stick the herbs onto them. Other aromatic or colorful herbs that you could add include rosemary, sage, cornflowers, safflower, sunflower. There are so many possibilities. So here I'm adding a little bit of white cedar and lady's mantle blossoms that I dried, and I'm adding that to this torch. Don't be shy with pressing the herbs into the beeswax. You really want them to stick, and if you don't push them in, then they will just crumble right off. Use whatever method works for you. You can roll them in it. You can do a combination of sprinkling, pressing, and rolling. Really, just do whatever works for you. And here's a little impromptu bonus craft, making a candle with the leftover beeswax and herbs. Here I'm dipping some of the linden cordage from last month's lesson into the wax to use as the wick. And with the wick secured on a stick and approximately centered in this tin, I pour in the beeswax. And then sprinkle on the remaining herbs. Let it cool, and there you go. You've got your own homemade candle. Here's a bit of a cliffhanger. Wait until next lesson to see all these lit up. I hope you'll give it a try.